Hayden? Roll call? Here. Okay. Ben? Here. Sherry?
Here.
Vernon? You're not on? Okay. Vernon's not here, so got a special proclamation we want to read. Go ahead, Ben.
At the meeting this evening, we have Deborah Lyles with Leavenworth County CASA. I'm going to read this proclamation in recognition of April being.
So we'll do that at your regular meeting at 7 PM. This one is your special meetings just for your training.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sorry.
Pause.
So we'll
Rewind. We will
we'll
restart
pause
that
and do
momentarily.
that at 7. But I love the enthusiasm.
No problem.
Okay. Okay.
No, you're good.
Pete,
You're great.
you got the floor, sir.
This is a bit awkward, of course, because you don't need training. So what I'm going to do instead of training tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about how to be a perfect councilman, which is not that hard to do. Over the past, I don't know, about 42 years, I've been doing this with cities, and I've seen an awful lot of council people, and I sort of pulled out the ones I think have done a really good job, and then a few haven't done a very good job. We're going to talk about both of them. Both sets. And one of the things before we get to my list, it's not complete because I remember one driving over here that you really ought to remember. It's probably one lesson is never sue the city while you're a city council person.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Not too many years ago, an ordinance passed in a local city. I was there, I was city attorney. And one of the council was very, very opposed to that ordinance. Voted no, and that was fine. It passed 5-1 or whatever it was. The next day, he filed a suit against the city for $1 zillion because he felt like his property value was going to suffer because of the ordinance. So the next council meeting, we had an executive session to discuss the litigation in our defense. And council went into executive session and he follows right along. I said, excuse me, you don't get to go to executive session because you sued the city. You're not going to hear about our defense. And he sat back down. Next morning, he sued me for a violation of his constitutional rights in a executive session. He was never called. So the lesson we learned there is don't sue the city while you're sitting at the deals, okay?
Good one to start out.
And these are just rules to live by, and we're going to make it light. We're going to make it interactive. If you have questions, interrupt me, whatever. But here are some of the things I've learned over the few decades. Remember, you always represent the entire community, not just your friends. It's really easy to side with your friends, with your neighbors, but always try to keep that level a little bit higher. You're representing the people of the community. Community's best interest is always your number one goal. The next one is I think one we can all live by. We tend to fix potholes. We fill them up, but we don't take care of the problem. We don't repave the streets. Try to figure out ways to solve your problems and not just put Band-Aids on them. Also, don't be misled by special interest groups. You'd be amazed at the number of people who have a strong opinion that they want you to follow. They may not be the majority. They may not be the people you should be listening to. So always keep an open mind. Number 4, this one is a tough one. Your only authority is when you're sitting where you're sitting tonight. When you leave this room, you have no more authority than I do. So, as I say, don't give speeding tickets on the weekends. Don't try to enforce the law in the city because you have no power to do so. Several 4th of July ago, I got a call from the chief of police who said, "You got to get over here right away." And so I put on a shirt, went over it, sat down with the chief, and he said, "Look in the parking." And there was a pickup truck with a young man sitting in the bed with handcuffs on. And I said, well, what's the problem? He said, well, he is Councilman X's next door neighbor. And he was shooting on fireworks, so they arrested him, put him in handcuffs, and put him in the back of his truck and brought him to the police station. Not a good move. Don't do
No.
that. Don't try to enforce law. We have a very good police department that does that for us. You know, once we do make a decision, this follows up with don't pursue the city. If you disagree with the decision of the city council, but it passes with a majority support. I know you got to kind of grit your teeth to do it sometimes. I always support the majority, support our democracy, because that's what you're really doing. And typical people in the community will watch for your reaction. They'll know that you voted no, and if you continue with that attitude, they're going to sense it. And it erodes the credibility of your council and of your city. Open meetings law. This is one that everybody gets confused about, and I won't be like. Under law, a majority of the city council cannot meet outside of this room to discuss the business of the city. And it's, you know, it's so easy now with social media to get caught in that trap where I send an email to you, you send an email to someone else, and you build a consensus through email. That's conducting business, and you must try to avoid it. That doesn't mean you can't be friends. It doesn't mean you can't all meet at the local bar and have beer. Just don't talk about city politics. Don't talk about city business. Just be friends. But the open meetings law is a very serious law, and the attorney general does enforce it. So we have to always be careful. We make all of our decisions transparently. So do keep that in mind. The flip side of that is you need to also keep things confidential. Yes. And, you know, we deal with employment matters, we deal with legal matters, and I give legal advice. Those things are not to be discussed. They're not to be discussed in the public. And, you know, pillow talk can get you into trouble. Man, get you in trouble all the time. But in this context, even telling your spouse something, always make sure. I don't expect you not to share secrets with your spouse, but always impress upon them that they see cannot be disseminated. We had an executive session 15 years ago about selling some real estate in the city. And we set a high price and a low price. And we could do that in council meeting or in the executive session or in connection with real estate. The next morning, we had an offer for our local. I thought, the world did that happen? We've only been out of executive session for hours. One of our councilwomen's husband was a realtor. And so she told me what we did in executive session, and he found to be a buy property for our local law. So if you're going to talk to your spouse about these things, make sure you press upon him or her. Don't talk about it. Don't bypass the system. And this is an important one. You've got a very capable city administrator. You don't need to deal with the day-to-day. You need to deal with policy. You deal with the highest level. And when there is a problem, don't for a minute hesitate to go to Leslie and explain to her what the situation is. Let her handle it for you. It's better for you if you don't get into crossfire that she does. So try to keep a higher level. Use her as your shield and your sword. The next step with that is, of course, she's your only. And council are confused time and time again with, well, I'm a council person. Can I tell the police chief? Probably not. He's not your employee. She is. You can tell her to tell him, but there is a chain of command that you always follow. One councilwoman in the city I represented insisted that MedAct take her to work when it snowed because she didn't want to drive in the snow. And they're my employees. Come on, MedAct guys, drive me around. Or another councilman was very upset when I had to tell him that Public Works would not clear his driveway. Yes, why not? They're my employees. You know, it's a very natural thing. We have to keep that separation. Oh, let's see. Oh, everyone is not a winner. I wrote that in big letters. We find time and time and time again, there's a loser and a winner in everything we do. And we can't worry about the fact that everybody can't do it. We've got to do what's right. So don't worry if you can't please all the people all the time. Try to, but you never do. Prejudging. The worst thing you can do to yourself is the city is prejudge a zoning. Tell somebody on the street, I'm gonna vote against that rezoning that's coming up next week. We have a public hearing, and you really shouldn't be disclosing what your feelings are prior to that public hearing. And then you should only disclose it to the city where your city is not. It's gotta be a fair process. And we all have prejudgment. There's no question about that. Some people like things that other people don't. And that's all human, but you don't need to articulate until you get in this room. Because you want the process to appear to be fair at all times. I feel like I'm watching. I don't know what focus on the future. Leave the city better to office. I will say this about Facebook. You've already done it. You've already made this city a better place. In a few months, I've been associated with it. It's got to be better. And good people. And you're going to find that the people in this community respond very well to progress. So set your sights high, leave it better than when you came. And that's what you're doing by sitting here tonight. Say one of the things I wrote here was be a leader and also be part of the team. Your community will enjoy it, and it will make the city a better place to live. The one thing I have found with the new council in particular is they try to demand respect. People who demand respect get none. I can tell you right now. Good actions will give you respect, and that's what you should always be doing. Don't expect people to call you councilman, mayor. When you're out of this room, just be yourselves. And if you go to someone and say, no, you call me mayor, in your local gas station, you've lost all this. Anyway, but I'm a mayor in the rooms, I go with somebody. And finally, be enthusiastic, be happy, be humorous. Don't take yourself so darn serious. Humor is contagious. And in a community this size, your humor will spread through this community and just make it a better place to be. So, don't take yourselves too serious, but enjoy what you're doing. You've demonstrated loyalty and commitment to the city council. People must have to do a good job. You place service among yourselves, which is an amazing thing. Not many people do that. So I applaud all of you. I didn't want this to be a training. I just wanted to share some of the things some of the bumps in the road I've hit over the years. And so we can either talk, or we don't talk, or we can all go out and have coffee for 15 minutes. But if you have questions, you can ask me.
Hayden, you have any questions?
I do not.
Vernon? Sherry?
Oh, I thought it was a good refresher, though. Thank you.
Well,
You need to recognize for enjoying that.
I don't like training. Not such a training. Training's fun.
It's all right. No, it's good.
I'd like to recognize that Vernon has joined the meeting. So Kathy can get it on the record. Everything good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Ty?
It's a lot better than the 2.5 hour training we had.
Before?
I wonder who did that.
Wow.
You did a
I forget
2.5 hour training?
Ouch.
I know. I could
That
be,
stung a bit.
You got you a job.
no, I'm good. Thank you, Pete. Those are all really good.
Just a refresher.
Yes.
Pete, can I ask a couple questions here? Since I was a councilman, become the mayor, I know I couldn't call, like if I called Ty, I couldn't call and talk to the rest of the people. As mayor, I can call, talk to them. I can't ask how they're going to vote or tell them how anybody else is going to vote and all that. I understand that. But if I have something I want to talk about, I can legally call each council person. Is that right?
That's not right.
It's not right.
You are still considered part of the governing body.
Okay.
And so if you get a majority of the council together to talk, build consensus on an issue,
Mhm.
that could be a violation.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I didn't call you yesterday, did I?
No, where we've seen the real problem, as I said before, is in social media. Email, things like that. It's so easy to forward and reply.
Yeah.
It's real easy to build consensus. So,
Does anybody on the staff have any questions about anything? What we've already screwed up or? So Pete, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
We need a motion. To end the meeting.
Yes, so we'll adjourn this meeting and then we'll start the next one at your regular time at 7 PM.
Okay,
So I'd make a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I'll second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, sir.
Hayden,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. 5-0.
See you in 10.
Special meeting adjourned. Bye, John.
Ah,
Bring the regular city council meeting to order. Want to have roll call. Ty?
Here.
Ben?
Here.
Sherry?
Here.
Vernon?
Here.
Ty or Hayden?
Here.
Everybody's here. We have a proclamation to read. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. You wanna go ahead?
At the meeting this.
No. Yeah, let's do it. Would everybody stand, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the meeting this evening, we have Deborah Lyles with the Leavenworth County CASA. I'm going to read this proclamation in recognition of April being National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas in federal fiscal year 2020, 3.9 million reports were made to Child Protective Services, and whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of the city of Basehor and our community. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. Whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in safe, stable, and nurturing environments. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families.
Now, therefore, I, Dick Drennan, Mayor of the City of Basehor, Kansas, hereby proclaim April 2022 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in Basehor and urge all Basehor citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. In witness whereof, I set my hand and have affixed the Great Seal of the City of Basehor, Kansas, this 23rd day of March in the year 2022. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Call to the public. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business that is listed on this agenda, with the exception of items requiring a public hearing in front of the city council. Comments for those items will be taken during the public hearing. Once that item is called by the mayor, the comments that are discussed under call to the public may or may not be acted upon by the city council during this meeting. There's a 5-minute time limit. Please wait to be recognized by the mayor and proceed to the podium. State your name and address. Is there anyone here that wants to speak on anything? Kathy, you have anybody online? Nope. Okay, moving on. Item number 4, consent agenda. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
No.
Okay. I'll take a vote. Ty?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Do we have any unfinished business? No unfinished business at this time. New business. Item number 6, Planning Commission appointment, Mr. James Owens. I'm very happy that Mr. Owens agreed to become a member of the Planning Commission. He's very interested in the city. So I would like to entertain a motion. Have Mr. Owens onto the Planning Commission.
So move.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Do I hear any discussion? Okay. Vernon,
Aye.
Sherry,
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Welcome, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much for your service, sir.
Thanks, James.
Number 7, public hearing for petition of de-annexation of real property within the city limits of Basel, Kansas. Leslie, do we need to have a discussion on that or?
Yes, so if you'd want to take a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay,
Mr.
Any motion
Mayor,
to
I
open?
move we open the public hearing.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Sherry?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Ty? Aye. Hayden?
Aye.
5-0. Special meeting open.
Thank you, Mayor, for opening the public hearing. The public hearing that you have in front of you this evening is related to the petition requesting de-annexation of real property that is currently within the city limits of Basel, Kansas. The property is owned by Mr. Roger Brandt and Linda Brandt, his wife, who are here with us this evening. The real property in question is legally described as the north half of the northeast quarter of Section 27, Township 10, Range 22 East, Basel, in Leavenworth County, Kansas. The property is approximately 77 acres in size, and it is generally located at the southwest corner of 155th and Donahue Road. There is a statutory provision that allows a property owner to petition the governing body to request de-annexation or exclusion of their property from being within your city limits. And that is the process by which this request has come before you this evening. This request was properly noticed with a notice date of, I apologize, I don't have that directly in front of me. The notice of public hearing was published on, oh my goodness, February 23rd, 2022, identifying this evening as the official public hearing. The proof of publication was also included in your packet. There's also a map referencing the subject property for your consideration. Staff generally does not provide recommendations, as you know, on these items, as they are policy matters for the city council's consideration. At the last work sessions, I believe it was asked what staff's recommendation would be. And, again, staff would support whatever the governing body chooses to do. As a general statement, we typically, it is unusual to see a request for a de-annexation of property once it's been included within the city limits if it was not a property that was annexed involuntarily. So this property was annexed voluntarily. It's been many years ago, and the current owners were not the owners at the time that it was originally annexed. So I think at this time it would be appropriate, especially since you have your public hearing open, to invite the petitioners to speak. And then if there's anybody else from the public, once they're done, you could certainly invite them to speak as well.
Okay. Roger?
Roger Grant, my wife Linda, owners of the property in question. When we bought the property, it was annexed, which I knew. There was $300 and some a year taxes. And in that amount of time, up to this date, there was a sign, "Welcome to Basel," that had been cut down. And no sign has been put back. Nor has there been any roadside mowing on either side of the property. Part of it is on 155th, part is on Donovan. Quarter mile on 155th, be a half mile on Donovan. And there's also a manhole cover that's about 2 foot out of the ground up there on top of the hill. That, again, nothing has been done. And here, we've paid taxes on this for years and have not received anything. And there's no intentions of building an outbuilding or any kind of a building on that property in years to come. Once the tax gets high, that we're forced to do something. And it just seemed like that we're paying for nothing. Not even getting roadside mowed. Now, I know Gene's got plenty of work to do. And if they want to leave it in the city of Basehor Annex, fine. But I would like to have the taxes wrote off. We're proud of this town. Been part of it all my life. But I'm just asking for that. And is there any other questions you'd like with me?
Any questions from any of the council?
I keep the roadside mowed, and if you've gone by there, you'll see how the property is kept.
I'm not seeing any questions from any of the council, Roger, so thank you very much.
Is there anything? I'll answer any questions you can.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Roger.
Appreciate your time.
Sir, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this? Kathy, is there anybody online that would like to speak on this? No? Okay. So we need to close this special meeting.
Mayor, I think it would be appropriate for you to accept a motion to close the public hearing unless there's anyone at the last minute that would like to speak, and then you can move to item number 8, which would be your consideration and deliberation of the petition itself.
Okay. I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we close the public hearing.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, sir.
Vernon?
Yes.
Hayden?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. So I need to come back in the regular meeting?
You are in, your public hearing is closed, so now you can move on to item number 8, which is the petition of the de-annexation itself. And I'm happy to give more information if you have questions, but this would be an opportunity for you to deliberate amongst yourselves or give staff direction on how you would like to proceed.
Okay. Item number 8, petition for de-annexation of real property within city limits of Basehor. Is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions for Leslie on this? Hayden, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to confirm kind of the comment about mowing. That's typical for other city properties, or are there others that are within city boundaries that are not mowed consistently?
So I'm actually going to look to Jean to provide, I apologize, Councilmember Maples, I am not familiar with all of the areas that we mow, but I will ask Jean to answer that.
Good evening, Gene Miracle, Municipal Service. There's, on property that is annexed into the city of Basehor, we have an ordinance that the property owner is required to maintain and mow the property back to the right of ways. And then there's another ordinance that goes into subdivision development lots on vacant lots as well. On that area that far out, usually the county would run up and down 155th past that area, but Mr. Brandt does keep it mowed down like he had stated.
Thank you.
Anything else, Hayden?
Not at this time.
Vernon?
Oh, so just for clarity, even though the county has historically mowed that area, is it the county's responsibility or is it the city's responsibility?
That piece there, since it is annexed into the city, would follow under the city's maintenance. And there's a gap from Myers Street to the top of the hill where this property, that there's a small section that's still outside the city limits, I believe. Since it's annexed in the city, it would be the city's to maintain the strip along 155th and then up along the north edge boundary of the annexed parcel.
So it's the city's responsibility to make sure that's done regardless of if the fact that the county may have helped out in some way or another.
Correct.
Okay, and is that what some of the $450 per year is used for, to help keep that area mowed?
Well, there again, then it goes back to one of our ordinances that we have about responsibilities of the landowner to maintain to the roadway on parcels that are annexed into the city.
Okay. The petitioner also mentioned something about a sewer manhole. Can you go into detail what that's about?
Yes, there's two paralleling force mains from the Falcon Lakes lift station, that 90 at Donahue and 155th. And the manhole in reference is an air release valve that is utilized on that force main.
And that's on the property in question?
Yeah, it's in the right of way at the southern portion of towards the southern part of the property.
So how would de-annexing this property impact the servicing of that main?
It would not, we have an easement. It's in a easement right away.
Anything else, Vernon?
As I read through this, it looks like there was some discussion or some in the description, something about a trail going through that area. Let's see if I can find it again.
Gene, there's not a trail through there, is there?
I believe that's in the long-term plan. The future, I think that's in the future use, long-term plan would be for trails through
So
there.
once this property is de-annexed, none of that applies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So the benefit of the city having a trail, I mean, if there's a trail there or a park system there or whatever, the city would again be responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep of that.
That is correct.
I just want to be sure I'm not missing something. So the main was a concern. I think the applicant did an outstanding job of talking about the fact that some things weren't being done. And I just wanted to make sure that I had as much clarity as possible with this.
So do you have anything else right now, Vernon?
No.
Okay. Sherry,
I do not.
Ben?
Pete, can I ask you a question? If we were to approve this, what would keep every other landowner in the city from coming to us and wanting to de-annex themselves from the city?
Nothing would prevent others from.
If we were to accept this and then reject others, would that put us in liability?
Legally, no. From a perception standpoint, being consistent, but I don't think there's any legal remedy for that.
All right. That's all. Thank you.
Ty?
I'm going to focus on the de-annexation part. There's been other items brought up as far as the mowing and the force main and some items. But that's not on the topic right now, so it's just the annexation piece. I think those are conversations we can have and try to improve upon later. I really did make some phone calls, Roger, and try to figure some of this out. And I really couldn't come up with a long-term compelling reason that it's in the best interest of Basehor to de-annex with our future plans and our growth plans moving that direction. Now, I understand if maybe we could do some things better, that we should help to resolve that or see what's capable to be done there. But as far as just a pure annexation, again, kind of going back to our training list of looking long-term and on behalf of the city of Basehor at large, I think that's a very important piece for the city of Basehor. And I know you've done a ton for Basehor and you're a great community spirited minded person. But purely on the de-annexation, I really couldn't come up with that compelling reason. Again, the other discussion points, glad to discuss, and we can discuss, and you can discuss with Gene and figure out some options there. And that's kind of where I'm at on this right now, Roger.
And may I make a comment?
Sure.
This parcel of ground is not bordered by any other parcel that is in the city of Basehor. Stands out alone. It was a parcel that was surrounded or partially surrounded by the city. I wouldn't even think of coming here and saying anything about it. But it's rural county on the south, on the west, on the north, and you've got 155th on the east. That should stop anybody from wanting to come in here and take a parcel out of, say, the city and want to de-annex. No, I ain't de-annex. You get taxes on it. Would be happy. I know there's a long-term plan on down the road, which is trail part. I've never heard of that before.
And it will be after my time.
Other mine too.
Yeah, thanks.
Pete, can I ask a question? What Roger's asking there is if we could do away with his taxes, is that legal and all that the city could do that?
There's no way I know to do away with the taxes. You can grant a tax abatement for up to 10 years. But that's a different process entirely. You have to go through the tax abatement process. Things of that nature.
Okay.
But we can't just say we're not going to charge taxes.
Right. Right.
And again, just as my one voice, I'd be willing to research that and have those discussions. And that's where I'm trying to focus just on the de-annexation versus the tax piece or the mowing or the other pieces that we've discussed. So I'm not trying to shut the door on anything, but the de-annexation one, I'm going to struggle with, just so you know.
Anybody else have any questions on
You know,
this?
I just want to add to that comment. I think that it is the property owner's right to make a decision on their property if they want to be part of the city versus forcing them to be part of the city. And it sounds that if the owner of the property is electing not to be part of the city for whatever reasons, and I'm just looking at the docket that was put out, and it talks about $450. It talks about, the city's future growth. It talks about the sewer line. It talks about the parks being a nice area for an amenity to the city. But even with all that said and done, the property owner still has that right to decide if they want to be part of the city and not be forced to be part of the city.
Yeah, I think that's something I've struggled with as we talked about it last meeting, and then again tonight is, completely understanding not wanting to pay property taxes to a jurisdiction where you're not seeing benefits, but that was the case at the time of the purchase too. So that's an agreement that was pre-established and a known factor at purchase of the property. So that's Vernon, to that point, that's kind of where I'm going back and forth in my head too.
I've known Roger for many, many years, and I know that I know this is not something that he's taking lightly.
Anybody else have anything to talk about? So I need to have a motion for de-annexation of the property within the city limits. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I think on this particular item, just for some clarification points, should the city council decide affirmatively that you would like to advance a de-annexation must occur by ordinance. Staff did not prepare an ordinance for your consideration tonight because tonight was really intended to be your deliberation on this item to give direction on whether you wanted staff to prepare an ordinance for future consideration or whether you no longer desire to continue to discuss this item. So Pete and I can help craft getting you there, but if you should desire to affirmatively allow the petition to move forward, meaning you want to allow the property owner to de-annex, that must be done by ordinance.
Can I repeat that? Because I don't know if I understood what you said.
Absolutely.
But I'm just reading a little paragraph at the bottom of page 15 that said the city council may choose by a majority vote to grant the petition to de-annex the parcel, or we may vote to reject the petition to de-annex. Is that you're looking for us to either say yes? or
Yes.
reject?
We're asking you to give, yes,
Okay. Is that clear?
that is
So
correct.
I need a motion to either reject or approve the de-annexation, right?
That's what I would do.
Okay,
Then we'll follow up with an ordinance if it's to de-annex. We have to do that by next council agenda.
okay. So do I hear a motion one or the other from anyone?
Can I offer a suggestion that perhaps a motion to reject the annexation, but ask staff to further consider options for abatement or confirming where the city is meeting all obligations under the, jurisdiction of the city?
Should that be in one motion or should that be just discussional?
Right, could be really just rejecting, but also some direction, I guess.
Councilmember Maples, yes, absolutely. If that is the motion and if that motion is accepted, then staff also understands clearly the direction that we need to have additional follow-up with Mr. Brandt, Mr. and Mrs. Brandt.
And I don't know that's the direction that the rest of the council is looking to head, but that's kind of where my head is at right now.
Well, and as I look at agenda item number 8 from me pulling this off the city website, the topic is a petition to de-annex the annexation of real property. So we have one option. We make the motion to de-annex the real property and we vote yay or nay, but I don't see where there's other options in there.
I might be interested in looking at what Mr. Maples mentioned, that if it's going to remain and they're going to pay taxes, if the city's not doing what we're required to do now, we would need to make arrangements that that's occurring and whatever those are. Because this is a difficult one. I've done some research myself, like looking at when this would usually occur. Kind of what I've been reading is say Overland Park and Miriam, if one of them actually had gone into the other one's property, they de-annexed to move it into the other city. But I haven't seen it happen where it's just a landowner's chosen to move out. on their own. But I also understand with prices going up, everybody's looking for ways to save. And so, yeah, so I'm kind of open to maybe leaning a little bit towards what Mr. Maples mentioned.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on Vernon's comment. I understand what he's asking is, it asks for a vote to approve. So do we vote no, nay, if we're not in favor? Vernon, did you guys hear that?
I did, and that's what I'm looking at, there's been a lot of talk and discussion, a lot of sensitivity around this. But when you look at just the topic itself, petitions for the annexation of real property, we have two options. We either say yay, we de-annex, or we say nay, we do not.
So that's the motion that I'm looking for, is to either yay for de-annexation or nay for not
Rejection.
Rejection, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, just before I make this motion, I hope the city's kind of heard everybody speak, that we hope that you work with these landowners and work with us to maybe some other resolve. With that said, I'm going to make the motion to approve the de-annexation as shown here currently.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I always thought when you make a motion, you would be in support of it. So if by Ty making a motion to do so, that would state that he is in support of it, which means that he is voting yes. So I would think that if you're going to have a motion and you're not in support of it, you would want to make a motion to reject the petition for the de-annexation.
So
The
just,
conversation we just had with Vernon asked the question.
I'm with you, but I don't believe that when you make a motion, your motion should be as in the direction that you're wanting to go.
I think for clarifying purposes before this motion is seconded, if it helps, and Pete, feel free to jump in. I think the motion can either be to accept the petition for de-annexation of real property, or your motion on the contrary could be to reject the petition for de-annexation of real property. And then you would vote in accordance with your
Peter, you in
opinion.
agreement?
You can do it either way. It's either to approve the de-annexation or deny the deed. You can do it either.
Vernon, are you good with all those explanations?
I think that's the straightforward piece of it. Whenever I make motions, it doesn't necessarily, it should not and does not give any indication of how I'm going to vote. It's just that I'm looking at specifically the verbiage that talks about a petition to de-annex. And then when the vote comes up, so the motion I would make is that we are going to vote on this petition to de-annex of real property within the city limits of Basel, Kansas, period. And then a yay vote would be for the petition, a nay vote would be against the petition. But that's getting into, something like
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove my motion and hear Vernon's very well worded motion, if he's willing to offer that for a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. The motion is to petition for the annexation of real property within the city limits of the city of Basel, Kansas.
Is that good? Okay. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ty,
No. Nay. Whichever the right word is.
Vernon,
No,
Hayden,
Nay.
Sherry,
I vote no.
and Ben.
Nay.
So the motion doesn't pass, is that right? Correct. Correct, okay. 5-0, Kathy, on the vote. Against?
If I might just follow up, Mayor, I
Absolutely.
do want to assure both the governing body as well as the owners of the property, we hear your concerns and we hear what you're saying from a staff perspective, and we will get with the property owner about one, expectations around maintenance of the property, both of the city sanitary sewer that's on the property, as well as the ongoing mowing and maintenance responsibility. And I'll work with Pete on options to bring back for your consideration as it relates to property tax relief.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see what we can work out. We'll stay in touch with you guys and let you know where we're gonna, go from here. And it's obviously it's the city council decision. So the staff will come back and recommend things, what we can and cannot do. And they'll vote on it and then we'll go for them. But we'll keep you in the loop. So we'll let you know what's going on at this point in time. If you're like me, you're a little confused right now too, so.
Now, I do have a question.
Sure.
When can you bring this motion up? When can he bring the annexation up again? Can you bring it up again next week or the week after? I mean, is there any limitations on when he can bring this back to the council?
The statute provide no limitations. So theoretically, the petition could be filed again tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Is there anything else? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I thank you for your time and consideration.
This is something new for all of us up here.
I
And
understand this.
so sorry that we kind of stumbled our way through it, but we want to make sure everything is right and on the up and up.
Well, any help would be appreciated.
Okay. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
Roger.
understanding. So moving on, item number 9, resolution 2022-09-2022/2023 city liability insurance renewal, Riley Insurance. Leslie, you have that or?
Mayor, we had a presentation on this item at the March work session. We do not have any changes. Since that presentation, we do have Mr. Riley here with us this evening, J.R. Riley, if there are any specific questions about the renewal, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time, but we would recommend approval.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Riley?
I do not.
Sherry? Vernon or Hayden, either one of you have any questions?
I do not.
No,
Do not. I need a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve resolution 2022-09, accepting the insurance policy term renewal for 2022-2023 term with EMC.
Okay, do I have a motion? Do I hear a second?
I'll second. This is Hayden.
In second. Okay, and a call for is there any discussion?
No.
Call for a vote. Ty?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Vernon?
uh,
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 10, resolution 2022-10, approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement with BT and Company regarding city audit services.
Thank you, Mayor. Maddie Waldeck, Assistant City Administrator and Project Manager. We had a presentation in the work session regarding our possible work with BT & Co. as it relates to city audit services. Before you have the resolution to approve that agreement. We do have Stacy Hammond available via Zoom. Should we have any questions specifically related to the agreement? We are just really excited to be able to work with them and at the prospect of receiving maybe a GFOA award as it relates to excellence in financial reporting. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Maddie or anybody?
Nope.
Nope.
No, sir.
Vernon, you have any questions, sir?
no questions.
Hayden, you have a question, sir?
I do not.
Not, okay, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2022-10, approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement with BT and Company regarding city audit services.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Sherry, second. Any discussion? Move on to a vote. Vernon,
Aye.
Hayden,
Aye.
Sherry,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to resolution 2022-11, approving the waiver of business license fee for nonprofit organization Horses and Heroes Incorporated.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a presentation in the work session related to Horses and Heroes, a nonprofit that has recently opened up a office space here in downtown Basel. They have asked for your consideration in approving the waiver of the $50 business license fee. The resolution before you tonight for your consideration approves that, and then also waives the fee for additional years if they remain within the city limits of Basel, and then they also maintain their nonprofit status. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions for Maddie?
I really don't. I only have one quick comment, and I don't really need a response, so we can keep moving. And maybe it's not possible, but I'd like to think our city administrator at some point would have the right to make a motion or do something for $50 on our behalf, and it wouldn't take a full resolution.
I totally agree. So, yeah,
No real commentary.
that'd be a different item that we'd have to move on. Can't move on that right now. Right now, we just need to go on that. Yeah.
Just a comment.
So it was a good comment. Okay, no, I'll call for a motion then.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 2022-11, approving the waiver of business license fee for nonprofit organization Horses and Heroes, Inc.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion? I'll call for a vote. Ty,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Sherry,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 12, ordinance number 841, conditional use permit for solar panels at 2912 North 156th Street.
Thank you, Mayor. What you have in front of you this evening is an ordinance that would allow a conditional use permit for roof-mounted solar panels. The address is located at 2912 North 156th Street. The official public hearing was held for this item at the March 8th Planning Commission. No members of the public were present to speak on this item. It was recommended to you for approval with certain conditions. Those conditions are included in the ordinance, which by passage, if you choose to accept the ordinance tonight, those conditions are part of that package. Staff doesn't have any additional comments other than we are in support of the application. And as we have talked about on the previous applications, as part of your zoning updates, we do intend to make some revisions to the conditional use permit table that would allow things such as this to occur as long as they meet certain standards and regulations without the need to go through a conditional use permit process, which would make it much faster and more efficient for the applicant. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Leslie? Okay, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve ordinance number 841 with staff recommendations and conditions.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
This is Hayden. I'll second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. Hayden,
Aye.
Vernon,
Aye.
Sherry,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Item number 13, ordinance number 842, conditional use of permit for solar panels at 16713 Freeman Drive. So it's basically the same thing you just said.
Yes, the exact same thing. It had a public hearing at the March 8th Planning Commission as well. No members of the public were present. No one spoke on this item, and it did come to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission as well, and staff stands in support of the application also.
So I take it there's no questions from anybody. So I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve ordinance number 842 for a conditional use permit. And then as stated with conditions per staff.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Got a second? I'll call for a vote. Ben?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Item number 14, resolution 2022-12, authorizing the mayor to execute the project authorization agreement between KDOT and the city of Basehor, Kansas for US 73 K7 Hollingsworth Road intersection improvements project number KA 5498-01.
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution that you have in front of you this evening would authorize you to execute an agreement, a project authorization agreement, as you stated, between KDOT and the city of Basehor. This item came to us, I think, a day or two before your last work session, and so we didn't have an opportunity to give you a report at that, a more robust report at that particular meeting. But these improvements have been planned by KDOT for many years. The city of Basehor participates in the K7 corridor program, which has quarterly meetings. This is a KDOT-led and KDOT-funded project and improvement. So the city, this is not a city improvement. KDOT went out and secured all of the necessary right-of-way in order to construct the improvements. The project was actually let for bidding last week, March 16th. So KDOT is very eager to get an executed agreement in their hands. If we are unable to execute an agreement this evening, KDOT has informed us that they would need to pull the project and have it done at a later time. So, and later would be likely the summer or fall for a letting. Staff stands in support of the execution of the agreement. And again, this project would be 100% funded by KDOT. I do think that it's important to note that Mr. Heaven did review the agreement. He offered a few minor modifications to what KDOT had originally proposed, which they accepted. And so the agreement that you have in front of you this evening does represent, I think, the best agreement the city could hope to achieve.
Does anybody have any questions from Leslie on this? Not seeing any. I call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve resolution 2022-12, authorizing the mayor to execute the project authorization agreement between KDOT and the city of Basehor.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
You got a second? I'll call for a vote. Ty?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Going to item number 15, the city administrator and staff reports. Why don't we start with, since he's been so quiet, why don't we start with the chief?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. We've been working diligently on getting our new folks up to speed, getting their ideas. And business as usual at the police department. Incremental changes, one step at a time.
Awesome. Maddie?
Thank you, Mayor. I will just do a plug for our social media. We are almost to 3,000 followers on Facebook. So if you could give us a like on Facebook, I would really appreciate that. I'd really like to celebrate 3,000. We are trying to step up our social media game, so hopefully everybody has seen that. We are working on the second volume of the Basehor Quarterly newsletter that will be sent out at the end of April. So a lot of really exciting things in there, comprehensive road project, message from the mayor, really exciting things happening in Basehor. And then finally, in the April regular meeting, you will have a presentation by me and our management analyst, Connor Mountford, CIP update, and then also a year-to-date budget update. We're going to try to do those quarterly and do them routinely so you can have those updates as well. So thank you.
Maddie, do you want to mention again about the staff day at the soccer park too?
Yes, we are hosting a employee appreciation event at the soccer women's, I can't remember the name of the.
Casey Current,
Thank you, Casey Current.
welcome.
In April. And we, the governing body, along with staff and their families, will be attending that game. And it's just a really exciting time for us to get together and show appreciation to the staff and the governing body for all their dedication.
Well, thank you very much for that update. And I would urge the city council, if any of you guys can really make it, I think it would be a good showing for us to be there with all and show the staff that we, really are behind them and everything too. So I think it'd be a fun time too, to everybody get together. Thanks, Maddie. Gene.
Good evening. Staff's been getting all the summer equipment out over the past couple of rain days, servicing all the mowers and getting all that equipment ready. We've had a couple equipment breakdowns at the treatment facility that are being addressed. We were able to finally get some mulch delivered. We started getting mulch in the 3 existing playgrounds Monday, but then the rain set in. So they finished painting the restrooms and they are open to the public, drinking fountains and all of that. We did conduct our first official site visit for the lift station project, where the GBA had their surveyors there, finished up the surveying, took some more site pictures of the Headworks building where the connection will be. And we handed over the plans from the original construction in 2000 and the expansion in 2010. We talked about some other feasible options that we're looking at for the design. And once I receive back the schedule, I will forward it to Leslie and it'll get dispersed to you all for project scope and schedule.
Thanks, Gene. I appreciate it. Kathy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just continuing to work on the Civic Clerk project, also continuing to work with Christy on audit requests. We had a couple of yard waste calls today, and I'll be working with Maddie so we can proactively put together some educational materials on the do's and don'ts of yard waste and put that out on our social media as the spring season approaches. And I also wanted to get some dates, if possible, for pictures. So as a group with department heads and city council, was looking at May 11th, June 8th, or June 22nd.
Yeah.
Is that just regular council meetings or?
Yeah, those
separate?
will be at regular council meetings. I'm just looking at doing prior, maybe 30 minutes prior to the
Okay.
regular sessions. That way we won't have to schedule something, separate. So.
May 11th would be a work session though, right?
Yes, correct. May 11th is a work session along with June 8th, and June 22nd would be a regular meeting. But just like I said, looking to do it a group photo before the actual meeting
Absolutely.
starts.
I'm fine with whatever date's chosen. Any of those 3 are fine with me.
May 11th is fine with me, gives you everything.
Yeah, that's all out there for us.
The next one, June, so May.
And Vernon or,
Hayden and Vernon, is May the 11th, will that work for you guys?
Yeah, it does. And sorry, because I think this changed because of me. The 27th was proposed and I'm on a work trip for April 27th. So yeah, May 11th would work though.
Okay.
And I'll seek medical clearance for that.
Okay, thank you, Vernon. Appreciate it. Let's try for May the 11th then, Kathy.
okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Chris, is Chrissy online?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Chrissy, you got anything?
Just working with the auditors. They've sent me a list of items to pull and we've been emailing back and forth. It's about 3 pages of items to pull.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's the big one.
All right, thanks, Chrissy.
Mhm.
And last but not least, Miss Leslie.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, welcome Mr. Owen as our newest member of the Planning Commission. We are very
Absolutely.
excited to work with you. I feel like anybody who attends every meeting should definitely be on a board or a commission.
Exactly.
So very excited to have you on board. I am pleased to report that we have a fully executed SRO agreement between the city and the school district. So I will circulate that to the governing body for just so you have it. But I've been working with the chief. We're hoping to have the position posted this week, and we've been in communication with the superintendent and very much look forward to continuing our relationship with the school district. Additionally, I had a great conversation with the superintendent today about the civic campus and some stakeholder engagement opportunities. And we'll be looking over the next couple of weeks to schedule specific stakeholder engagements with the school district as well as the Basehor Community Library around the right sizing of the stormwater retention pond, as well as the internal trail connection on the campus. We anticipate receiving letters of support from both the school district and the Basehor Community Library for additional funding opportunities to complete the trail circuit within the civic campus property. And then at the conclusion of those stakeholder meetings, we do anticipate that Confluence will be hosting a community-wide engagement about those improvements, probably towards the end of April. So we're trying to finalize dates in space because space is limited as we get near graduation time and everybody will be out and about. So we're super excited about that. Also had an opportunity to visit with the superintendent today about improvements to 155th Street and just making sure that we're continuing to be a good partner with the school district as it relates to those projects. And so I think everything is moving forward positively. So that's great. My final item, just as a matter of a point of information, we did send in a communication to the Planning Commission earlier this week. So we'll make sure that that gets circulated to Mr. Owen now as well. But we do have several applications that have been filed within the Wolf Creek development. There are 2 applications for rezoning. One for, both are to rezone to planned residential zoning districts. One is for a multifamily apartment complex. One is for a senior living facility. The property has been posted as required by our city ordinance. And we have also received preliminary development plans for both of those applications. So wanted to make sure that you were aware, as you very well might start receiving communications from neighboring property owners who have inquiries. We have had communication with the applicant outlining expectations as far as his requirement to conduct his neighborhood meetings. Those meetings have to happen on or before April the 30th. And they must go out by mail to the surrounding property owners, by certified mail to the surrounding property owners within 200 feet. So to kind of go harken back to Pete's training earlier this evening, we would just encourage that if you are contacted on applications related to rezonings, certainly want to be attentive and listen to our friends and neighbors, but would encourage you to refrain from offering an opinion on the project itself until we've had an opportunity for the official public hearing to occur at the Planning Commission and then when the item is properly in front of you as City Council. So if you have specific questions about those applications, don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm happy to chat with you at any time. So that is everything I have for you this evening, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, number 16, City Council Members Report. Ty, you have anything?
I do not.
Ben?
Tomorrow evening, I'll be attending the Field of Dreams Committee as well, which will be holding the second one. I believe go out and be checking out the Field of Dreams and doing an on-site walkthrough. So it should be fun. Hopefully no rain. And then I'll take 2 seconds to have a proud dad moment. Last week, I got to go out to the Capitol with my son, who was a page for the state representative, Tim Johnson, and was blessed to be able to he allowed me to come onto the floor. So it was very interesting to see, government and politics here in the city of Basehor compared to the state of Kansas, the difference of what it actually looked like on floor. And and how they debated, which was very interesting. So very nice. Thank you so much.
Sherry?
Did you need to speak, the attorney? Did you have anything to
Come on, Pete,
present?
you got something?
I-
You've already given my.
Oh, all right.
I've heard him enough.
Yeah.
Vernon, oh, Sherry,
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was thinking he was the only staff member that maybe didn't get to speak, but no, I just want to mention I'm also on the Field of Dreams Committee. And so tomorrow we'll have meeting 2. I'm looking forward to that. And then again, just to formally welcome Mr. Owen to Planning Commission.
Yes, absolutely. Vernon, do you have anything?
You're on mute, sir.
Hey, Jim, it took long enough. I just got a couple of things. One, the Port Authority meeting, I just want to do a shout out to Maddie for being able to be present and provide day-to-day operational information. I know that was brought up in the training, but that's so important that we have someone that is in the day-to-day operations providing information, and also to highlight what our city administrator said. I just want to highlight that there's a difference between an opinion and a thought. An opinion is a firm belief, and thoughts are not. So, as I go through my different meetings, I'm very cautious in providing any kind of opinion. I think I even mentioned this to the mayor that I will share my thoughts, but don't misconstrue my thoughts as being opinions because they are two clearly different things. But I was nominated to be the vice chair of the Leavenworth County Port Authority. I had to decline that honor. I know that I try to push Baser as much as possible, but due to my current obligations, I would not have been a good fit for that. I do believe they're going to circle back around, and in 2 years, I'll either be the chair or the vice chair. The other thing is I attended the meeting yesterday. What was that? Mark meeting, and had a chance to highlight Leavenworth County and specifically our trails and bicycle paths. So it was just amazing that the other cities also talked about spending time here in Leavenworth County and in Baser. It's like, wow, we are making some progress there in terms of our footprint being out there. So those are the 2 things that I have. I do know that on May the 12th, I'll be conducting the Transportation Surface meeting as the chair, and we're going, instead of us having $26 million to look at, I think it's going to go up to 33 million, and we just have to look at good projects. Connor and Maddie, I think, did an outstanding job recently with providing updates on that information that I would need to be able to adequately share with the other communities on things that are happening. We do know that there's been an approval to have a bus route go all the way from the Legends south, not south, I guess that's east through Kansas City, Missouri. And that's going to open up more opportunities for Baser to be able to solicit MARC-type funding. With MARC-type funding, looking at connecting the communities. So we were fortunate, or I like to use the word blessed, that we received monies last year. We just need to continue. I know Maddie and Connor are looking at this. Continue to look at ways that we can connect Leavenworth County to the larger communities out there, such as Kansas City, Kansas, and whatever. That's all.
Thank you. Hayden?
No, just agree. Want to welcome Jim and thank him for taking that seat that I briefly held, and then looking forward to the retreat.
Thank you. Moving on, mayor's report. I just wanted to let the council know that we are now going to be represented with the Chamber of Commerce at all their meetings. We haven't been represented for a while down there between Maddie and Connor. I appreciate you guys stepping up to the plate to help do that. That way we can all stay, on the same page and they know what's happening here. We know what's there. I want to thank Leslie and Maddie and Jean for the outstanding winter that we've had. I've been on this council for 7 years and we've never had the kind of information put out to the public, how many tons of sand were used, how many man hours. And I think it's something that really needs to be done. I appreciate it. I know the council appreciates it, and there's tons of citizens that appreciate it too. And I want to keep it up. I mean, it make a difference if it's summer, winter, whatever. If there's something happened in the summertime, we expect the same thing. And I know you guys are on that, and I really do appreciate it. It was awesome. And I loved a lot of your comments about the snow, Maddie. So, yeah, I appreciate that. And it really made a big difference that people knew that we were out there. So I think that I want to thank this young lady for coming here tonight and her dad. Now that you've seen how long some meetings can get, which is, you're probably going, I'm not getting involved with government, right? But thank you very much for coming. I appreciate that. And with Leslie and I know Leslie's probably sick of me now, but we have changed a lot of different things. And this city is moving forward, and I appreciate everybody and the staff and the council's help on all this. Thank you very much. Executive session. When I saw her walking, I knew we were in trouble. Michelle, sorry. So,
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
I would make a motion to recess into executive session for consultation with an attorney for privileged communication as permitted under KSA 754139 with justification as to discuss matters related to litigation for 45 minutes, reconvening at 8:55 at Baser City Hall and on Zoom. The executive session is to include Special Counsel Michelle Stewart, Interim City Attorney Pete Heaven, and City Administrator Leslie Riverola.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I'll call for a vote. Hayden?
Aye.
Vernon?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
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 Going into executive session. And you guys definitely don't have to stay.
Vernon and Hayden, you should have
Unless she
received
wants to.
a separate link.
Have a
From
good one.
Michelle.
Thanks.
Go look, because I don't remember seeing.
Roger,
it.
you guys can stick around too if you want. Are we going to go to the back or are we going to do it in here?
Oh, yeah, I guess we do.
Vernon, did you receive the link?
I sent Vernon.
Zach, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye.
I just have to start.
Hayden, can you give us a thumbs up if you received the separate Zoom link? Okay, Hayden's good. Vernon, could you give us a thumbs up if you received the separate Zoom link, sir?
Yes, I checked. just
Michelle?
Meeting, so let me go back and check again to see if there is one there.
Okay.
Mine came in just right before 8 o'clock, so pretty recent email. FJ Fields at City of Basin. Okay, well, I'll jump off and join that. Talk to you in a minute.
Hey, Kathy,
Yes, Vernon?
Okay, okay.
Okay, okay.
I
Not a
have-
problem.
Now I just have to wait for my
Alright.
email to populate. So I'm
Could you
I'm
say-
gonna walk off of this one.
Look at it from a legal.
Could you say that again, sir?
I have the email link. the email.
Okay, thank-
Now I have to wait for my email to populate. It's just a little slow. So once it comes
Okay,
up,
thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Thank you, sir. We'll let them know.
log off.
Okay, awesome. All right, appreciate it.
I think you're
Do it.
Are we ready? Okay. Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion that we adjourn executive session and move back into our regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Ty,
Aye.
Ben.
Aye.
Sherry.
Hi.
Hayden.
Aye.
Now we need a motion to open the meeting back up.
I think I did that all in one.
Yeah, now you just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Everybody say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Night, Hayden.
Have a good night, everybody.